Now, I've been gardening for years in so many different climates, and I've learned a lot of hard lessons along the way. Today, I want to share with you what works and what doesn't work. Hello and welcome to Sproutlogic Gardening. I really felt it was important to share my experience with the wider gardening community. I wanted to prevent you guys from going down the same pitfalls I fell into and probably share some things that might help you out along the way. When I think about it, the years I've spent gardening, there's been so many different lessons that nature and the garden has taught me. One of the first ones I would say, and this is going to be an interesting one for you, is don't try to copy gardens you see online or on TV shows. I know it's kind of weird, right? I'm even saying don't even try to copy mine. There's an important reason behind that. Now, if you've been watching this for a while, my garden is lovingly called Short Meadow. It's a kind of a funny little play on words for Monty Don's garden, Long Meadow. Now, if you think about it, Monty Don is located in England. I'm in zone 7A/8B. Not really comparable, not even close. And I learned this lesson because when I tried to copy his garden, a lot of things he grows there works very well. Another important lesson we'll talk about later. Does not grow well here. The heat is just too brutal. The crazy swing in seasons wipe out most of the things he grows. Now, there are certain things that transition over, and those are the plants that he will put out during the summer, for example, and then take them back in for the winter. Well, I'm not into gardening like that. Frankly, I want to put plants out here, leave them out, and I typically lean on perennials, so I don't have to do much work. They come back every year. They look beautiful. But the lesson is, when you think about it, make sure whoever you're watching, your favorite gardener or maybe garden show like Gardener's World, you want to make sure that your climates are similar or really, really close, if not the same. If you're going too far off, the unfortunate lesson would be it's just not going to work for the things they're doing. And then you get taken into account microclimates, the location of your garden, the sun it receives. There's a lot of different important parts you have to think about when you're talking about gardening and then who you're looking at in comparison to your own garden. Now, I want to show you another lesson that I've learned. Now, longtime viewers are very familiar with this, and the reason I'm laughing is I feel like this part of my garden has been in, I don't know, 20 videos at least to talk about important lessons, and this lesson carries over as well. So kind of it touches on the first thing we talked about. Monty Don's in England, I'm in zone 8A. So, the problem with that is, well, that's a totally different climate. Now, these are hybrid tea roses, and they're making me a bit of a liar today. They look really beautiful, plenty of blooms. Surprisingly, no June bugs yet. It's early in the morning, so they don't come out yet. And so, these don't do well in my climate. And so the other important lesson is when you're thinking about comparing to other gardens or other areas, make sure you're growing things that do well in your area. Now, this is a dahlia next to it. Doing pretty well, a little bit of heat stress. It's been kind of wild with the temperature, but this is great for my area. This spin top, great for my area. I don't have to worry about these guys. These are just going to do their thing and be fine. The tea roses require a lot of maintenance, and I've gotten a little lazy on this one. I need to thin it out a lot more. But in order for this to even be remotely successful, I should have to continually trim it out and remove a lot of this growth so it doesn't get all that moisture and stuff trapped to get black spot, which unfortunately both of these have. Really important to pick flowers and plants that do well in your climate and area. Understand the zone you're in. Understand also that even with knowing the zone, you could still have problems. This year is a great example. I'm dealing with a lot of very, very variable temperatures across the board. We had a crazy winter, a crazy spring, and the summer's looking to be crazy as well. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure you're picking things that really work well for your area. And for the most part, you should be okay. All right, on to the next one. Now, this one I can't stress enough. Plan your garden accordingly. Think about everything. Think about how far you are from your hose connector. Think about the sun. Think about just generalized location where things need to be. This is really, really important. So when I first moved here and set up my garden, it looked very different. In fact, I had a lot of the beds centralized right here in this spot, which is why you see the grass looking a little wonky over there. Different story. But what I learned is that wasn't working. It was bad for me, actually. It was bad for maintenance. It was very hard to mow, go in there and mess with things. And when I ran my irrigation lines, I had to always be careful mowing and weed whacking because they ran across the grass, and it was quite irritating to deal with. So I thought about it. I changed my layout. I have beds in the center. And I actually moved that dahlia over here for a reason. I did that because it needed a lot more sun, and it would get a lot more sun centralized here in the garden. So put beds along the fences, made sure the irrigation wouldn't get messed up or, tangled into anything, and made sure I made the plants that I put in them be placed in the correct area where they're getting the correct sun and temperatures and things that they need to be successful. This one is really important, and oftentimes I think it's actually overlooked when I think about it. I overlooked it for sure. I went for something I thought would be just, I guess, easier, or I just was trying to maybe be lazy and centralize things. Not a good call. So take a look at your backyard before you put in a new bed, or if you're thinking about moving things around. Really take the time to understand, how does the sun move? How does water move through your garden? What kind of weather patterns are you dealing with? Like, I know in my garden I'm sheltered from wind for the most part, which is great. Around me things will get flattened. Over here it's pretty good. These are all the things you want to take into account when you're moving your garden and or planting it, and it's a really important step. All right, let's keep the train moving. So the next important thing is patience. Now, this is a tough one. I've said this in the past. I struggle with patience myself. I want to move quickly. I want things to grow quickly. And this dahlia is a great example here of a couple lessons, but the first one is patience. It took a long time to come up as a bulb, and I was concerned for a long time there. I was like, man, what is going on with this thing? It's been a month. I haven't seen anything. I thought about digging it up and throwing it out. Would have been a bad call. Same thing with my roses and stuff I have in here. Now, this one I'm still struggling with. This is another hybrid tea rose, kind of going back to the other lessons previously. It's looking okay, but it's got a black spot and a couple different things going on with it. Not great compared to the bolero, which is doing good. But the bolero is very slow growing. Another one I was struggling with patience. And now that it's starting to come into its own, it's looking much better. Before it was kind of this flat little thing. I was very confused. Now it's growing up, and I'm happy to see that. But patience is super important. Take your time with plants. I always also lean on the Roman chamomile that I have. It took a long time to come up, years actually. So had I ripped it out of the ground and kind of given up on it, I would have lost the blooms I've gotten this year, and arguably some good tea I'll have later on. I'm going to roll right into the next one as well, which is taking care of your soil. This dahlia is also a great example of taking care of your soil. So this guy is a monster. I'm going to stand next to it and kind of show you in comparison. Now, it is in a raised bed, but this thing I think is easily at least 3-4 feet tall. It's huge. Compared to the other ones I have, it's actually the tallest and the biggest one I have. It's doing extremely well in here. Now, why is that exactly? If I look at the one in the pot, which is doing, I have one in the ground, which is probably a foot or two shorter. The soil. It's the soil. This is the one I did that special method where I took up our Christmas tree, chopped it into pieces, and I went ahead and put it in there with some leaf mold and stuff. This is very high quality soil that I've taken care of with compost, and the things growing in here are extremely happy. If you take care of your soil and let nature do its thing with the soil, it's going to pay you back tenfold. You don't want to put anything in there like the artificial fertilizers and stuff. You want worms, you want beetles, bugs, things living in there. And then, of course, just do leaf mold. Do your grass clippings, as long as you're not spraying herbicide, of course. And then add natural compost like cow manure. And when you do that, the garden takes care of you, and the plants love it too. It's a much easier experience to deal with. I would argue, actually, this hybrid tea would be in a lot worse condition had it not been in this kind of soil. But speaking of nature, we should probably touch on that too. All right, last but certainly not least is nature. Now, you can see all around me, I got bird feeders, I got wildflowers, there's a robin in the back hanging out. I'm allowing plants to grow naturally in the back of the garden there. The reason I'm doing this is when you invite nature in, it helps out. It's an ally in the garden. These birds help me tackle the June bugs. They also, flowers and things that I have in here invite parasitic wasps and other beneficial insects that will take care of the pests I'm dealing with. I'm seeing tons of ladybugs helping with the aphids, for example, too. But the point is, when you kind of back off and let nature come in, you're inviting things in that are beneficial. Now, arguably, could you say you're inviting some bad things? What's bad? Define that, really, right? I have rabbits. I know they're around. They can eat my plants. I use natural deterrents. One of them is actually liquid fence that works very, very well. Sprinkle it around certain beds that are low. Doesn't hurt them. They don't even go near it. And they still eat the grass and hang out and have a good time. Just examples of things you can do when you're working with nature to make sure both sides are kind of getting a win-win situation there. Now, the other thing to take into account, which normally you would see, my grass is a sea of clover. Now, I just cut it recently, so there's some clover up here and there, but I'm inviting in those pollinators. And by doing that, I'm seeing tons of bees. If I wanted to produce seed from any of these flowers, I would have zero problem. Had my peach tree been more productive, I'd probably have a million peaches on it thanks to the bees I have. But when you're inviting them in, especially for growing fruit and veg, that's really important. You need those pollinators to grow that stuff. So by allowing clover, for example, you'd have a massive harvest compared to, I'm not sure. I mean, without clover, I don't really see that many bees even with the flowers. Interesting thing I've noticed over the past couple of years. Now, I've given you quite a few different tips. I'm hoping they were helpful. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, please drop them in the comments. From my years of experience, I wanted to share this to make sure that I can help you in your gardening journey, hopefully bring some benefit to your garden. Please don't forget to like and subscribe as it really helps my channel, and we'll see you on the next video. Take it easy.